Okay, so welcome everybody. And yeah, we can give it a go now. So welcome and good evening to everyone. My name is Gloria Madabuchi, and I'm super thrilled to be the moderator of this session where we're talking about breaking barriers and inspiring journeys in AI and global opportunities. So, but before we dive in, I'm going to do an introduction about Data Gen Z just to tell us what Data Gen Z is about, because this webinar is hosted by Data Gen Z. So, Data Gen Z is a community and educational platform which is committed to empowering the Gen Z youth across Africa to start and grow careers in AI, data science, analytic, and adjacent fields. So at Data Gen Z, we believe deeply that many young people are excited about data and AI, but there's too much information and they don't know where to begin. So that uncertainty leads to block progress. So Data Gen Z is here to, clear that fog, help people find alignment, help people find their paths, answer the questions that need to be answered. So at Data Gen Z, we run boot camps, mentorship program, hands-on learning, project-based work, building portfolios. All of these are aimed at helping participants become, job opportunity ready. Our mission is very ambitious. It's to bridge Africa talent gap. Want to raise 500,000 data professionals through guided learning and strategic mentorship so we can all become innovators, change makers, and leaders, especially in the AI sector. So tonight we're doing something special. This is like our second series we're having. So this is a monthly series basically, where we come and we talk about something around the space. So today we have people who have broken barriers, they've moved abroad, and they're pursuing global careers in AI and data. And we're going to hear about their journey. We're going to hear about what challenges they faced, what opportunities that they have seized to become where they are, how they've stayed relevant, how they've been able to, build momentum, and what advice they have for all of us, right? So whether you're just starting out, you're somewhere in the middle, you're considering taking your skills abroad, you're in the right place. The talk is for you. So thank you to everybody who has joined in, who is listening. We hope that we're going to make this space very lively and very interactive. So feel free to drop where you're tuning in from so we get to know you, and your questions, whatever questions you have, please feel free to make use of the chat box. We'd like to hear your questions, and I'm sure the speakers will be very pleased to answer whatever questions you have. So, without further ado, I'm going to dive right in to introduce the speakers and then would go right in. So, for our first alum and speaker today, we have Blessing Austin Gabriel. So Blessing is a senior data scientist at J&J, as well as a researcher. She's a machine learning engineer and a technical writer. So in her work, she's designed full stack machine learning pipelines, led multi-layered NLP evaluations, and contributed to responsible AI initiative. She also writes technical content under Blessing Bytes, sharing insights on AI, data, and career development. We're very excited to hear from her about her journey, how she's broken into the global stage, and what she's learned, along the way. And our second element speaker is no other person than Emmanuel Kevin or Kevin Emmanuel Onyedikachi Kevin, if I got that right. So Emmanuel Kevin is also known as Onyekachi Kelvin. His profile shows strong interest and work in AI, business analysis, Python programming, and database administration. He has been active in writing and sharing about AI, crypto, and Web3 topics. And Web3 topics. His experience demonstrates diverse skills across AI, business, and programming, and programming globally. So we're glad to have you today, Emmanuel, and we're so excited to have all you have for us. We're excited to hear about your journey and how you're where you are today. So we're anticipating that this is going to be a very engaging conversation for us all. I'm sure our speakers are going to have tons and tons of questions for us. So just to start off, I'm going to give you guys the floor to tell us a bit about yourself. So you can, if you're wondering where I got, the little bio I got about you is from your LinkedIn. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to, tell us beyond that. So tell us about yourself, what you currently do, and what drew you into the world of data and AI. So the floor is yours. Like to hear from you. I think Blessing, you can go first.
Of course. So thank you so much for that introduction. I currently am, like you mentioned, a senior data scientist at Johnson & Johnson. And more information onto the work I do a lot of work on artificial intelligence, Gen AI, and agentic AI. And I know like agentic AI is a new exploration in the field of AI. So it's been really fun doing a lot of experimenting, but also engineering and a lot of piloting in big pharma here. I'll say some fun fact as well. I like badminton. I like playing badminton, and I also enjoy singing and reading a good book and writing, which is why I have my blog. Um, and what drew me to AI really started off with computer science, like my undergrads, and then I got into data science. And while in data science, you're doing a lot of machine learning, which is just training simple models how to find patterns in data. And because of that start, I got interested in the more advanced version of actually creating artificial intelligence with simple data. Training a data to predict and make forecasts and try and tell what the weather could be tomorrow. And that just was so exciting for me. And I decided to pursue it as a career full time. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Blessing. That was really interesting. Okay, so Kevin, would like to hear from you now.
Thank you very much. So, my name is Emmanuel Kevin, Kevin. It has been an interesting journey for me. A lot of my interest started from solving problem in businesses. So my career actually just started by seeing a problem in a business and then solving it. And that was what piqued up my interest in data analysis, because now I serve as like the eye for the company and then tell them what they're missing. So I've worked with Newpart Global, worked with Estee Lauder, and currently building an e-commerce platform called Denuma, which is going to be like for businesses. It's going to be like a platform that solves problems for businesses. This is because of my background in both as a data analyst and after doing my master's in AI, artificial intelligence and data analysis, I'm seeing the opportunity that AI is bringing on board. And in combination with data analysis, you can begin to solve a lot of substantial problems for business. And that is how my journey has been over time, solving problems. And it's been a very enjoyable ride all through. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. It's good to know. So now I have someone I would recommend to people if they have problems in their business. I say there's this guy I had a session with. He likes to solve business problems. You should probably give him a call. Okay, so thank you so much for your introduction. So we all know how we have interests, we have things that we'd like to do, but at what moment, what was that moment in which you realized this is what I want to do? So it was beyond just, oh, I think I like this, I think I'd go into this. What is that, that moment that built after your early curiosity? Can you share that moment in which you knew that, oh, this is what you want to do?
Of course. So I wish I had like a spectacular story. I would like to say like some people find their passions like as they grow up, while some people are like born and like they have this North Star since they're born. I fall in that second category. So when I was younger, I would always like break my parents' computers, trying to just understand like why it was working the way it was, go back to, explore some things. And I'd like to like being an explorer, so blessing the explorer like Dora. But I really already knew that I wanted to do computer science. I wanted to do technology just because it was so easy for me. But I will say, like going into my undergrad and starting computer science, there's so many things you could do from computer science. You could, be a UX UI designer. You could be a software engineer, and data science just came very naturally because I like to find patterns in my daily life, like dealing with people. I would try to identify patterns, like this person did this before, so most likely you're going to do this. I'll be running like predictive analysis in my brain, and I didn't know that data science was actually a thing until like my final year of university. And my professor told me, "Oh yeah, you could do data science as your final year project." And then when I tried it out, like I got customer information and I tried to predict or build a chatbot that could help them solve and answer questions. And I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. That this is exactly the part of tech. I always knew I wanted to do tech, but this is exactly the part of tech that I want to focus on and I want to continue to growing. So it was just like a very perfect sync between what actually happens in data science and my personality. And then I got to the US for my master's in data science, and I saw how you could propel that and expand that with artificial intelligence, and you could actually build large language models that could interact with people based on people's patterns and what people like to talk about. So that just, again, was a very natural sync for me. And I'm happy that I had that simple, straight progression to that. Yeah.
So for me, it was a more or less like a very natural flow. I'd give you a case in point. So when I was working at Newport Global, that was one of my relations business. He asked me, see, I'm losing money, but I do not know why I'm losing money or how I'm losing money. So tell me why I'm losing money and how I'm losing money. And the one way I could do that is to, set up tech or set up infrastructures in place, inventory systems, whether it's inventory systems or accounting systems. And I think, being thrown into the deep like that and just looking for solutions to his business problem was one of the things that drew my interest into computer, the digital world as a whole. So I know I can analyze data. I know that I can maybe do an LTV analysis to understand what are the lifetime value of his customers, So that real world experience for me, breaking things and then making things work again, was kind of what drew me to the world of computer engineering and then artificial intelligence and data analytics. Yes.
Oh, nice. So it's so good to know that you guys
I
pretty
like
much
that you were thrown into the and then you had to swim. So that's
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much. So Blessed, the first question is going to be for you. So Blessed, your journey from Data Gen Z boot camps to having to, work on real world ML projects at J&J, I find it incredible. But the question here is that looking back, what specific experience or challenge at the boot camp shaped the way that you approach AI today? Did you get the question?
yeah, of course. So yes, I did. My network is reconnected, but I think I got it. So when I joined the boot camp, that was the summer before I started my master's, and which was 2023. So it was very interesting because I already knew I was going to do data science for my master's degree, but I wanted to come prepared to do my courses. So this was like a great opportunity for me to learn about data science before actually going to study data science at school. I wanted to have that upper hand so school could be just a tad bit easier, you know, with all the studying and learning and its homework. And I remember us working on a particular data set. It was the Framingham heart analysis, like the disease. We worked on that data set. We were to build on some EDA just to, you know, visualize the data, see what patterns we could find, what insights we could get, and then if you wanted to build like a predictive model, you could also build. So that was like one of the projects the capstone projects that we had from Data Gen Z. And it was great. It was such a great learning experience. And it was remarkable for me because when I started my master's degree, one of the first projects we also worked on in my school was the Framingham heart disease data set. So it was it was so interesting to me that we just solved and created ran a whole project on this data set, and we're also doing that at school. It was very relatable, and it made me like stand out amongst my peers because I was soaring through that class, and it was very easy for me because I'd worked on it before. So I will say that working with Data Gen Z and learning, different ways to approach data before starting my master's degree and having that formal or academic experience really helped a lot. And it made me interested in research. So that's one of the things I currently do now. I'm a big researcher in MLE and AI, machine learning engineering, and artificial intelligence. And I will say that Data Gen Z really helped spark that interest in research and made me know that it is something I want to do long term. So I joined a research lab at my school. And since then, I've been going for conferences, wrote papers at IEEE, AI, and I will say that it did start from being a part of the boot camp. And now being a senior data scientist, I can still find correlations to what I started learning from the boot camp because it's so relevant. I can still find correlations to what I currently do at my work, and it's always going to be something that I'm grateful for that I went through. So, yeah. I hope I answered your question because, again, my network was really bad, but I think I got that.
Yes, you did. You actually did answer the question. Thank you so much for that answer. So go back to you, Emmanuel. So your profile spans AI, business analytics. Like you've already told us, I told you that I would always recommend you now moving forward for business and automations, which I think is a rare blend because it's AI, it's business, it's automations. So what inspired you to have like this interdisciplinary route? You're doing this, we even saw you talk about crypto. So what's the inspiration behind this?
So let me clear the air about crypto. I don't think I'm into crypto. So please, because it's a very fluctuating space. So so that it is not in my profile that I'm promoting it at this point. Yes. So what I'm promoting is automation, data analysis, AI, and machine learning. So about my background, so in the area of tech, I would say I'm more like a generalist because of my background. I had to start with, like I said, seeing real problems. When I worked with B2C, the HR came to me. I was like, okay, so we have this particular challenge. We want to be able to automatically generate all the receipts of over 1,000 workers, and they needed to take this receipts to the they needed to take it to the courts the next day. So let me just put it out there because it's been a long time. So they needed to take it to the court the next day. So how do we start generating over 1,000 workers salary slip? Yes, so I thought about it and I knew what could work was AI. So as long as you have all the information in a role, I knew what could work was Python. As long as you have all the information in a role in an Excel format, you can use Python to iterate through all of them and then generate a PDF. So what should take you a week, I did it in, let's say, like 30 minutes. So, and this is me just doing like thinking about it and then there was no AI at that time. So I was going to Google and then looking for solutions to it. So problem solving like that, knowing that, okay, I can use Python for a lot of automation. I'd give another case in point because for me, what shapes my journey is real world problems that I've been able to solve. So there was a particular in Estee Lauder, for instance, which was my last job. I literally automated, it was a remote job, and I literally automated everything. So I do not need to be at work, or I do not need to really log in, because at the click of a button, everything I'm supposed to do for the month is done with automation, especially with Python. So that has been big for me, and that is why I'd always advocate for people to know how to automate little things with Python, automate big things with Python. And yeah, and then using AI, for instance, and machine learning for predictive analysis. So I can be able to tell, let me say, I'll give you a case in point, that's the last one. If you want to predict if a customer is going to leave your company, or why a customer is leaving your company, so you can do things, you can use regression, sorry, in machine learning to know if the customer is going to leave, yes or no. So these things and these real world problems are kind of what shaped me into being a generalist when it comes to the world of tech. So that is why you see Python, automation, AI, and the rest.
Thank you so much for that answer. If you teach me how to automate my job, so I don't have to, I'll skip work some days. Okay, so Blessing, the next question is for you. So we know that many people join boot camps, they're hoping for a breakthrough moment. I mean, everybody wants to, get something out of the boot camp while you're investing your time and resources. So can you remember what yours was at Data Gen Z? Probably was it a project that you worked on, maybe a mentor's feedback, team experience. What's pushed you to think differently?
Of course. So yeah, I think boot camps are such a great way to learn a lot of information in a short period of time with your peers that are also learning about those things the same way you are. I think it was everything, to be honest. Like, it was the dedication that you had to put into it so that you were being consistent with the courses, with the videos. I remember doing this with my close friend, Stephanie. I'll name drop. Her name is Stephanie, and she was always, we were always bouncing ideas off each other. Right, our approach to the projects we're working on. I mentioned the feminine heart analysis project. So we're always bouncing ideas off each other. We always want it to be unique. If we both thought about the same ideas, we would intentionally say, okay, what other analysis could I do that's different from hers, so that we could not have identical projects, right? And that really helped me to have that curiosity mindset. And I think that's the best way to approach data science and AI in general. Like, the mindset that, okay, what can I really get from this that isn't obvious? What other type of analysis can I run that most people aren't thinking about? And if you approach it with that curiosity, you end up asking the right questions. And AI, even with like just ChatGPT, the better your questions are, the better responses you get. So prompt engineering and the way you format a question is very important. So also thinking about that in your head as you're approaching data science is very important. So I did gain a lot of that curiosity mindset, and that really came from, again, the type of projects I was working on and being able to be with my peers and being able to bounce ideas off each other. And that really shaped, okay, since this person's already going this direction, I want to find a more unique direction to go. And we end up creating very different but unique and nuanced solutions. And yeah, again, it was the whole experience coming together that really shaped and made a difference in how I approach work even now.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So Kevin, Emmanuel, can I call you Kevin? I think that
Yes,
comes.
please, you can. Absolutely.
Okay, so what was like your first major break? Probably like an opportunity or a project, that helped you transition from learning to actually doing impactful work in your field?
My first major break. Okay. I'd say, okay, let me just piggyback from when I was working with Newport Global. So I'd say my first major break when it comes to the world of tech, right? Is that that is the
Yes,
question?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's the
So
question, yes.
it would be when I was being tasked with, like I said, finding out why the company was losing money and how they were losing money. So it was two things. We needed to know why and the how. And this is a company that do not have infrastructures like inventory systems. They just they were doing the things they were doing the old-fashioned way. It was just like pen and books, you're writing stuff and all that. So I knew that, okay, for us to start solving this problem, we needed to start setting up technologies in place. So we set up things like inventory systems. And I was so curious that I had to learn accounting 101, even though it was not even my field, because I needed to set up an accounting system for them. So curiosity has been a very big part of my journey. And I hardly would tell you it can't be done. Like you just say, oh, I want to get this, or I want to do this. And then I'll think about it, and I may not even give an answer immediately. But then again, I know that as long as it is IT, there is a solution to it. So my big break was, solving that particular problem. And we realized, like I like giving real examples, we realized that we had a particular staff that has stolen close to 60 million from the company at a time. Yes. And this just happened from, setting up the structure and then tracking historical data. So you now see that things are not adding up. That is the beauty of data analysis and the rest. So when people want to go into data analysis or business analysis, understand that it is not just the title, it is the real hardcore problems you're solving for businesses. So in doing historical data, we realized that this guy was not remitting the money he should be remitting from sales. And that is how we traced the bank information. And then we realized that things were not adding up. I love data because they don't lie. Facts don't lie. So I think when I was able to achieve that, it kind of opened my mind to be like, to see that, okay, I can actually solve problems with data. I can actually solve problems with AI. Data at that point, data analysis at that point, Python and the rest, because like I said, at that time, AI was not like very big for me. So yeah, I think that was like the deal breaker for me. That was what launched me into the world of tech. I think, yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much
Yes.
for that. That was a lot of
Mhm.
unpacking. Okay. So Blessing, moving from studying to now interning and then now working in the US, what were some key differences that you noticed in how AI and data are approached globally? So
Okay.
get that.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful experience. What was that?
I was trying to
I
ask
think
if
you
you
got
got
it.
the question.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. So it's been a great experience, like starting my undergrad in Nigeria and finishing that and doing my master's abroad, and also interning, researching, and then being full-time and still researching. There's a lot of difference between how AI is perceived globally or approached globally. I would say back home during my undergrad, it was very theoretical. It was very concepts based, abstract. Oh yeah, we know data does this and this is how to do this, and you write code on paper. It was very abstract. And like Kevin has mentioned a lot of times, that real world experience is very important when it comes to data. It really unlocks your mind to knowing how you can contribute. And there's a big difference from what I've noticed, even here in the US, that what you face at work is very different from what you learn in school. What you learn in school, the problems you're getting, they all come with a known solution. So you're either getting it wrong or right. And in the real world, you don't have that wrong or right. You're supposed to solve a problem and you invent the solution. So in school, it was very easy to study, right? You study, you know, you have all the data because they give you everything. They give you the problem statement, they give you all the factors involved. You rarely have to do any exploring, everything is a question. And then you solve that. Very easy to think, yeah, I've got this unlocked. I know how to do traditional ML, I know how to do research. But in the real world, when you're facing, for example, I work with very regulated data, patient data. When you're facing patient information and you're trying to understand why patients are trying a drug or why patients are stopping halfway, like what is the problem here? You're looking at millions of roles that sometimes have no metadata. You don't even know where to start from. And there's no like writing somewhere that tells you everything. So you really have to do a lot of exploration. But it's very much encouraged here. And all the resources push you to get that wholesome understanding and to try your best to produce something that's really helpful. Like that's been the major difference for me, coming from classroom or internship. Just seeing how much of trial and error sometimes it is, and learning from experience, which is why I try to push out back to the community with my blog. Like I want to write how I'm experiencing things, and I want to write so that people can learn in real time. Like this is how to approach a very nuanced problem in a regulated environment. So yeah, that's been a key difference that I've noticed in how it's approached globally. And the main cure to like swapping from academia to industry or swapping from like Nigeria to a foreign country is just being adaptable, right? If you're adaptable and you're able to relate the things that you're seeing in real world to what you studied, it's great. Like Kevin mentioned, like creating, you know, how each role in a Excel sheet, you could put that in a list and then you could iterate through all of them in Python. So something similar happened to me. I was working on a problem and I needed to change like over a thousand documents. There were pictures. They were in the extension TIFF, so they were .tiff, and I wanted to exchange them to JPEGs. And I was looking online on Google on how to like find a converter that would change my pictures to JPEG. And I was like, why am I doing that? I could write a code that does that. I just wrote a code that read all the files from a folder, and I that convert, and I loaded it back into a new folder with the extension I wanted. So again, it's amazing. It's like you have superpowers, but it's practical to it. I love the practical approach. That's one of the biggest difference I've noticed here globally for AI. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Blessed. I think one of the take home for me is be adaptable. It's so important. So, Kevin, the question for you is studying and working in the UK must have come with both opportunities and challenges. So, can you share what adjusting to your new professional and academic environment was like for you?
Okay, very interesting. So, like I like giving real world examples. So, I came into the UK, right, and then I'm to study artificial intelligence and data analytics. Yeah, and then in the UK, okay, so you know that as a student, you are entitled to just work for 20 hours and then study, right? And that was exactly what it should be. Coming to the UK, you work for 20 hours, so because you needed to focus on your academic stuff and all that. But I was opportuned to kind of like meet a company that would give me so when you come to the UK, you hardly would get, as a student, you would hardly get any IT job per se, because you don't have enough hours to work for those companies, and most of them need full-time employees, right? But because of this problem-solving approach and updating my CV and putting it out there, I got a company that wanted me to do the 20 hours for them. It was an IT company. But what they were more interested in was for me to write a code, an API code that could connect all their e-commerce platform to their accounting system, Sage, right? So here's the thing. Yes, I'm working for the 20 hours, but I was able to be paid bonuses, because at the times when I was not working, my API code was running. So it was as if I had written a program that was working, and I don't have to work manually. So here's why I say that all this is, so that helped me balance my academic work. So I did not need to go into the office and do 40 hours. I did not need to break UK laws, but I had a code that was running on a server, right? And because that code was live and was running on a server, it was giving me money that I was able to use and pay my school fees. So I'm just being real with some of the because you asked me how was I able to manage. So that was one way I was able to manage. So write code that can automate your work, and then things can be a little bit easier.
Thank you. I'm being honest, I need to learn this, your automation. I need to learn it. You don't know what I would do for my life. But it was really insightful. And boy, that is really smart. I mean, you see, work smart, don't work hard. This is really what they meant. Because you're working, but you're still resting, and you're putting in your time to other things. Yeah, thank you so much for that. So Blessing, so the other question for you is, so what was one of your most defining experiences as a woman? Because it's important to have this conversation. As a woman navigating a global data science career, and how did you, overcome the barriers along the way?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So coming abroad, there are some things that I already thought that I would experience. I thought I would experience like racism or sexism, and that put a lot of fear in me. Like, I remember being at the airport when I just landed, and I'm like, oh, people are staring at me. And I was hyper aware and hypersensitive to just any remarks because of what I've heard and watched on, TV regarding Western culture. And so I quickly realized, though, that the world already has negative bias towards certain people, right? Like you'd say a woman or a Black people, and I don't need to do that to myself. I don't need to walk around thinking people don't want me here because I'm a woman, or people don't want me here because I'm Black. The negative voices in the world are already more than enough for me to act to that. So I never, after I realized that, I don't have to always think about that. I could just be myself, and if you choose to focus on the right things, there are opportunities for women. Like, I'm part of a group here called Women Who Code, and it's just the group trying to bring awareness to underrepresented groups in technology, which is like the Black community or women. And it's been great there, right? Being able to connect with other peers and seeing that they did also have that negative bias coming in, but like there is a way that you could strip yourself of that negative bias. So one of the amazing things that I've learned here is breaking my own barrier of what I thought in my head about me being at a disadvantage because of the color of my skin or because of my gender. And once that went away, I'm able to be in rooms and I feel like I deserve to be in those rooms, right? So when I joined my team, the commercial data science team. So before I was in research and development during my internship, and we did a lot of work in the clinical trials, like the development of drugs and the research involved with drug making. And now I'm in commercial data science. So now we're dealing a lot with how patients receive our drugs. How can we better serve the patients? How can we understand their patterns to promote, our drug sales and whatnot? When I joined that team, it was a new world for me. And I also because again, I'm the youngest on the team. I'm also the only Black person on the team and I'm a woman. So it was a lot for me to like be in a room where I was like the only version of myself there. And it was so easy for me to go back into that thinking like, oh, I'm not going to have as much opportunities or because of the things that I have that everybody else is not burdened with. But again, I wanted to make sure that I remembered the things that I learned and I wasn't being a barrier to myself. So I just kept approaching very positively work and everyone there. And I remember being called by the senior director for a meeting. And he just mentioned, like, I like the way you're always smiling. You have such a positive energy. And you're also very intelligent. I feel like most scientists are very hyper technical and they don't like to talk to people. And I just feel like you have that blend between being relatable as a person and being like charismatic, but also having that scientific expertise. So I would like you to represent us in this workflow. And in the first month of joining, I was leading a workflow, which was to me like something I would never have had to do or never have done or thought I could do if I was being a barrier to myself. But because I decided to work in that positivity and not hyper focus on the fact that I'm a woman or Black and just being able to take pride in that really and use my strengths, I was able to be noticed by the senior director, which is like 3 managers above me, and he asked me to lead a workflow, and it's been great so far on my team. And I will say that there are barriers and there are things that stop you, whatever your negative thing is. I mean, in Nigeria, it's like tribalism, right? It's either you're Yoruba or you're Igbo. Like, there's always going to be something everywhere in the world that is kind of a limitation, right? But you don't have to internalize that. You don't have to create that barrier for yourself. You could just walk positively outside, even if you have negative experiences. Just understand that it's part of life, and don't let that affect the way you then react to life. And that's been great. That has been amazing so far.
Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. It's so important, for people to try to work on the negative thoughts. Like you said, there's already a lot of like negative energy. So the best you can do is, be positive. I mean, that's very nice. So Kevin, the question for you is, so you've seen firsthand how, data and AI are being used to drive business innovations. I mean, you've even done some yourself. So what global trends or opportunities do you think that young Africans should be paying attention to now?
Agentic AI.
Are you coming again with that?
Agentic AI. I'd say that because it's going to be very disruptive in the business side of things. A lot of LLMs are coming out. Large language models are coming out these days, and we have the likes of Google doing so much when it comes to this agentic AI work. And what is agentic AI? Just like AI, I'd say in my own definition, AI that kind of like automates workflow for you, right? Whether it's let's say you have your company data and you put it into you train a model to be able to answer every question about your company or interact with customers on your behalf. These are the kind of things that agentic AI does. You automatically start creating staffs. So we are entering into an era where AI becomes your employee, sort of. You train AI to start working for you, so you can have a stream of 5 to 10 AI. You can have like an AI as a customer care agent. You can have as an AI for just your email. Okay, so this AI answer all my emails, reply all my emails. You can have one saying reply all my WhatsApp messages. Now, this is money that you would have spent in, employing human beings, to fill in this role. So this is why I said it's going to be very disruptive, because now jobs are being yanked off. Customer care jobs, for instance, even data analytical analyst jobs are being yanked off. Seriously, because go to Cloud AI and Claude, sorry, right, and just put in your Excel sheet, for instance, and tell Claude, right, to analyze your data. It will give you a very wonderful analysis of what that particular Excel sheet is about. So I think young people coming up should be looking into the word of agentic AI and how to be able to build this models. Maybe research on things like NA and N8N, if I am not mixing that. Research on things like that and how to build these models. So one thing I'd always tell people is, when you think about AI as an expensive assistant, and then you're the boss, right? But here's the thing: don't be a lazy boss and dump all your work for the AI, because AI is going to mess it up. So in AI, there's what they call hallucinated data. So if you're not careful, AI would hallucinate. It will imagine that this is what you need and just give it to you. So let's say you're an accountant and then you carry your financial data and put into AI and say, AI, please do this accounting for me, right? So it's very problematic, because it can give you figures that would inflate your data, and it'd be seriously problematic for your company. So what I'd say to the question you asked is, agentic AI is being very disruptive this period and this era. It's more like a bubble. We don't know if it's going to burst yet, but it is something that is very, very in-house in play right now. So I think young people coming up should look into it seriously. And also, just as a quick one, in the area of data analyst, if you are a data analyst or you're aspiring to be a data analyst, for instance, right now, the line between a data analyst, a data scientist, and a data engineer is now becoming very blurry. So as a data analyst, you need to learn to be a data scientist. You need to understand ETL, ELT. You need to understand, how to build data warehouses, or even if you don't know how to build it, just understand how to build data warehouses. You need to know some form of data engineering. So one skill, so I've mentioned agentic AI, but I think generally what I'm trying to say is, one skill that you need right now as someone aspiring or going into the area of tech or IT or AI, for instance, is curiosity and tenacity to keep studying. You need to be curious to keep learning. And I think these two skills is one of the things you need, because there's a lot of tools coming in day and every day. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Curiosity and tenacity. I hope everybody
Yes.
does that out, because we're going to need that. Okay. So for Blessing, so you've been very active in writing and sharing your journey publicly. I think that's something I found very interesting when I went through your bio. So how has sharing your journey helped, open doors or connect you to global opportunities?
That's a good question. Yeah, so it's been extremely helpful in a sense that it makes it or transform, like sharing your journey on social media. It's very scary, but it also transforms you from a onlooker, a passive eye, someone who's just experiencing this change, to someone inspiring and also influencing this change. So I've realized that a lot of people had the same questions that I had when I was starting. Like, what do I start? it's even more questions now, right? With agentic AI, you're like, should I start from Gen AI or should I start from traditional ML? Should I start from the advanced agentic AI, or should I not do anything and just not even learn how to code, just use AI for all my coding? Like, there's so many. Before the question was Python or R. Now it's like, should I even learn how to code? You know, it's a lot of questions, but I've realized that people, especially like my age mates, Gen Zs, they do have these questions, and sometimes they don't share it because they don't think you can help them. And when you identify yourself as a voice and you start writing about your experiences and they can relate to you, they feel like, okay, now I have someone I could ask these questions to, and I have someone that could help me answer them. So a lot of people have reached out to me just because of the writings that I've put out there, and they've asked me to advise them on maybe they're starting their master's degree or they're trying to get a job. And it's just in a place that I never thought I would find myself, like being a voice of inspiration or advice to people my age mate, so and even older. So it's been very transformative, and I would never regret like sharing. I even think I want to share more about my story, and just so that people can find, you know, someone they could relate to, and someone who's also going through the same confusions as they, or has gone through the same confusions as they're going through, so they could feel comfortable asking me questions and and just sharing their own stories. And that's one of the reasons why I also want to start having like scheduled calendars where people can book sessions with, they can speak about what they're going through. I could give some suggestions onto their project, you know, because again, sometimes people aren't being self-taught, and they've graduated from their undergrad. So a lot of the agentic AI and Gen AI, they're learning by themselves, YouTube videos or Coursera. And when they want to do projects, they sometimes don't have anyone that they could speak to. And I've spoken to a lot of people from Amazon and from other big tech companies, and they're like, I'm a software engineer, but I like MLE. Like, what projects do you think I could work on? And would jump on like LinkedIn and would end up having an in-depth conversation on how they should structure their project. Should they use RAG? Should they use traditional ML? Should they use Gen AI? Or which LLMs should they use out of the many that we have now? So it's been great just being identified as someone that Gen Zs could also reach out to and ask questions, and then we could talk about their thoughts, processes, and what projects they want to work on. And as for new opportunities, I realized that going into interview, people actually go through all your writings. Like they would, you know, you would have an interview with a company and they would be like, oh, I saw this writing that you had. And I'm like, okay, that is interesting. And it makes you appear as someone who is not only good at what you do, but also passionate. And passion is very important for the world of tech, because they want to know that you're able to not get overwhelmed because you have an inner drive that keeps pushing you to learn and keeps pushing you to want excellence. And that's what passion gives you. If I was just in tech for the money, because there is, you know, people say, oh, tech money, but if you were just in tech for the money without any passion, people could sense that sometimes, right? Because you're just a passerby, and they might be hesitant to provide certain opportunities because they're just like, you know, their heart isn't going to really be in there. But I've noticed that me writing and sharing my experience has really shown my passion for tech, and people can connect to that, and people feel better giving me opportunities because they could sense that even when things get hard, I will always find a way to sustain and to like persevere, and be tenacious, because I do have that passion, and it shows in my writings. So it's been great writing. Yeah, very scary too, putting my thoughts on paper or in text, but it's been great.
Thank you. I like that you pointed out that last point, because it's something that writers face. Sometimes you write some things and you're like, you know, it's like I'm giving someone access to my mind. Maybe I should keep this one a bit. So yeah.
I will say that I wrote one of the last pieces I wrote was about how people get into a deep state. So we get easily distracted by social media, and I was like, there's always something I do that gets me into a deep focus state for work. And I'm like, I don't know if other people do this, but let me share it. And I was like, well, I don't think it's important, but I was like, I'm still gonna share it. And I shared it, and that sparked so many conversations on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and people are just like, oh, this is so true. Like I do this subconsciously, but I never put a name to it. You know, like it's been great and scary putting my thoughts in writing, but it's been very rewarding, and that kind of dulls down the fear. The reward dulls down the fear. So yeah.
I can imagine. Thank you so much. Please don't stop sharing. It's going to motivate a lot of people. Maybe one day some people will start finally sharing. So, Emmanuel, you had spoken about agentic AI and what the young ones should have their mind in. So, this question is, so for someone that's looking to build an international career in AI, what strategies? I think you had cleared it. We wanted to ask practical or mindset related. You said tenacity and curiosity, but maybe you can throw more lights. But want to just know what mindset has helped you stand out and be able to grow in your field so far.
Okay. So if you're in tech, you would understand that burnout is very real. And if you are not in it, like Blessing said, for the right reasons, you would find yourself, it's very easy to lose yourself in that space. So one of my key mindset that keeps me going is I'd always tell myself, the only way forward is forward in whatever project I'm doing, and this cuts across not just in my space, tech space, in life space as well, because progressing or being good at what you're doing, being good at tech, it's having this very forward thinking mindset, this problem solving approach to things. So a lot of people, most young people, wait until they have learned this tool, and they've learned that tool, and they've learned so many tools before they start building projects. For instance, let me just be more practical. So because we keep learning, we get stuck in the learning loop, what I call the learning loop. You keep on learning and learning and learning, and then you are not applying the things you have learned, right? If I was going to start all over again in my tech journey, for every YouTube video that I watch, I'm going to build 3 projects. So I'm not going to watch 3 YouTube videos before I attempt to do one project. So we need to have this forward thinking approach to things. And there was something I posted on my social today, and I was encouraging people to just start. So in your journey, if you're building tech or you're thinking about building tech, just start. Whether it looks nice or not, just begin. And I'd also give you this advice: if you want to start in your tech career, for instance, please learn to drown out the noise, the technology noise. Here's the thing: if you take JavaScript, for instance, JavaScript alone comes with at least 500 different flavors. You have Next.js, you have React.js, practically the same thing. You have so many JS stuff, right? If you're coming into tech, learn one. Start with, let me say, if you want to go into web, master JavaScript, understand it, then you would easily navigate into the whole flavors or different flavors of it, but understand the fundamental part of it. So let me digress a bit, or let me just take it back a bit. When you are starting, please learn the fundamentals. Learn the basis of everything. If you're going into data analysis, learn the basis of SQL, master SQL, understand it, because these are the foundation of how you actually grow. And Blessing said something about a lot of people asking her, should I learn agentic AI? Should I learn this? Should I learn that? And a lot of times, the people asking those questions do not know how to write an if-else statement in Python. For instance, let's just be real with it. So if you're starting, please master your fundamentals. Learn if you're going into AI, master Python, master it and learn it very well. If you're going into data analysis, master SQL and Excel, and learn it very well. If you're going into web design, please master JavaScript and learn it very well before you start going into even the AI stuff and all that. And also, finally, please do not let AI write all your codes as well. Do not let AI write all your codes, especially production codes. So yeah, I think that is the bit I have to say for now. Yeah.
Thank you so much. There are so many nuggets from that. I had to, make use of the chat box. Thank you. So for Blessing, right? So if we've heard so much about your story, it's such an inspiring one for me. And I like that, I like when you spoke about your personality and how, you're a data scientist, but still you have that bubbly personality. So the question is, right, if you'd go back and advise your younger self, that's the Blessing who was just starting out in data, what would you tell her about resilience, focus, and navigating the global space?
Okay. I would go back to me in university, right? Do my bachelor's in computer science. I was so focused on getting good grades rather than really understanding computers and how to solve problems with computer science. And the advice I would give her is to approach it practically, right? Even though like the school and the system back home really wants to teach you theory and they want you to learn exactly how to do it. So if they there's so many ways to write a loop, right? Like there's so many ways to write a loop. But like in school, what I noticed is they taught you this way. If you write it any other way, you're failing. You're failing that course. So they really don't help. I didn't really learn a lot of like creative thinking and or problem solving in computer science during my undergrad. So I would go back and tell her that focus on that. When I came here, a lot of the times in interviews, they ask you what we call data structures and algorithms, right? You're asked to solve a problem like, iterate through a list, or, if it's more data science focused, they would ask you to write a k-nearest neighbor algorithm from scratch. And they really just want to see how, not that you've memorized it, but they want to see how you solve a problem and how you actually write certain statements. Because sometimes in writing a script, you start from the most simple things and you go back up and you edit and you're going all over the place because your mind is working in real time. And for how I learned in my undergrad, I learned very top-down approach. I had to think of everything, and I barely wrote pseudocodes. I just wrote like from what I learned, and I would just write it out. So I will tell myself I would have advised myself to have a better approach to practical problem solving, right? Start from pseudocode, understand the logic of the problem you're trying to solve and map it out somewhere, and then start writing code, because the pseudocode can be transformed to Java, to C, to R, because it's really logic. So I would have thought myself to learn more logical problem solving. And regarding focus, I also would have thought myself, like what Kevin mentioned, starting with the basics, right? Especially when I got to my final year, I was just very excited about learning how to create a machine learning, I guess, platform that could help me predict survival rate or something. And I didn't really focus on like starting from scratch, like really exploring the messy data and seeing how to work with that. I had a clean data set from Kaggle and I was working on it, so going back to that basics was what I learned coming here to the US, and especially with Data Gen Z Africa. Like when I joined the boot camp, they really emphasized on the initial phases of starting a project and what you need in those phases before going into the actual execution, which if you do the initial phase so well, your execution could be so short because you've really mapped out the starting, where to start from. So I would advise myself in those two things. I would advise myself to learn better problem solving, to learn true logic when it comes to tech. And I would have also advised myself to start with the basics. But Data Gen Z did help a lot with that basic learning. And for navigating global spaces, again, I think I'll just go back to my point of not having that negative bias in your head. And when I came initially, I had to do a lot of work on that negative bias. I would have told my younger self, like, it's fine, like you're the one holding yourself back. You could be you authentically. I'd have told myself that. And but those are things that I've learned along the way through time and trial and error. And I would never change the process that has been involved. I think we go through all those things so we could teach somebody else. And they don't have to go through as, and take as much time as we did to learn those things. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. So we're coming to, we're rounding up. So for the viewers, please, you could drop your questions. We should be able to take 1 or 2 questions before we wrap up. Thank you so much, Blessings, for your contribution. And I like how you, laid emphasis on the process, because I think that's what makes the journey beautiful. I mean, if you figured it out, it really wouldn't be such a nice story. Okay, so we have like some questions for you guys. So it's more like a closing reflection, sort of. So you've both, you have very inspiring global careers. It's very nice. There's Blessing in the US, who's a data scientist. There's Kevin in the UK, with doing data analytics, business automations. I think I'll pay classes for the automation classes because I need that skill. Okay, so what role has community, mentorship, or collaboration played in your growth? I don't know. Anybody can take that first.
I just follow the pattern. Maybe coming first. So mentorship has been very important to me. Actually, it's one of the things that I wanted to write about in my next write-up. There's a mindset that I have. It's that I don't have to experience everything to learn. One of my goals is to learn from other people's experiences, which is why I try to document my own experiences so other people could learn from it. But I know that for almost everything that I've done, and every big step that I've taken, I've always spoken to people who were already in that door. So if I was trying to go in through a door, I was talking to people who were already in that door, because I always felt like people outside of the door with me would have fears that were similar to mine and that wouldn't really help me. I'll give an example. Before I started my master's, when I picked out my school, I got accepted. I looked for individuals that went to Montclair State University that were successful. I found a girl, Yanu. She went to Covenant, and she was currently working at Bloomberg, and she went to my school and did data science. She did computer linguistics or something. But she was working as a data scientist at Bloomberg. And I reached out to her. I told her that I was inspired by her journey, and I wanted to have like a 30-minute virtual coffee chat with her. And the information that I got, the mentorship and information that I got from that one call, she told me about professors to look out for that could really help with research. She told me about courses to pay attention to or seminars to attend so that I could propel and gain and gather experiences that would be good on my resume while in school. I can imagine that if I never did that, I would have started my master's and I would have just learned along the way. But there were so many things that I already knew what to focus on, professors to reach out to, research groups to join that would really help me and set me up for success, just because I spoke to somebody who just graduated from that school. So mentorship and learning from people being a huge contributor to where I'm at today. And I do that everywhere, just even spiritually. Like I like to talk to people who are where I would like to be, right? And I want to learn from them. So another case was when I was starting my internship. I had a friend that I met through this connection from LinkedIn. I met him. His name is Excel. He works at Google as a project manager, and he also went through an internship period of 1 year. Now, that was unique because most times it's very different from the UK. In the US, you can work 40 hours during your master's degree. You could work given as much as you do your first semester in school. Like in first semester or first year, you're not meant to do any work outside of campus. So that's when I had my on-campus research job. But after 1 year, because my master's was 2 years, you could work for 40 hours off campus. And when I started applying for internships, I spoke to Excel, and I asked him for so much advice. Like he told me, this is how to make your resume. He gave me so much mentorship and so much advice that I felt prepared going into the US job market. And I just felt like I had the means necessary to succeed. And I did. And again, my internship was meant to be for 6 months. My co-op was meant to be for 6 months. But the mentor that I had at Excel had his own internship for a year. So he gave me tips and who to reach. Like, this is what you should do during your internship. This is how you should approach your internship. And I applied the same learnings during my internship, and I ended up having an internship for also a year. Now, given that same time period, I was speaking to people who were telling me, oh, should I go to the US or should I go to the UK to do my master's? Because I always hear that in the US is so hard, the competition is so hard, you're never going to get anything, you're probably just going to, not get a good job and whatnot because of the intense competition. And I remember telling that friend of mine that it depends on who you're listening to. Now, the people I've chosen to listen to from LinkedIn and the mentors that I've gotten are people who are working successfully here in the US. So all the things that I hear is it's possible. And they're also Nigerians and they're Black, so it's possible. You can do this if you do this. If you have these tools in your arsenal, you could be you could be where I'm at or even better than me because now I'm telling you early on, right? But then if you're listening to people who are telling you it's going to be hard, if your mentors and your ear gate is listening to people telling you that it's not going to be good, that most likely might be your experience because that is what you're coming in with. So it's been very, very important to me to have the right mentors and to have the right people to listen to advise me. And even again, before I started my full-time job, I spoke to people who were on the team that I was trying to get into, and they advised me what to focus on during my interview. It's a hack that everyone should do. Like everywhere you want to go, identify people who are already in those spaces and listen to them. It helps so much rather than you having to figure it out by yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kevin, you can go for it.
I think Blessing has covered it all. I really do not have so much to add to it. The only thing I would say is your circle of influence would determine the direction your life will take. So practically, right after this call, talking about mentorship, I think I'll probably be reaching out to Blessing for mentorship as well. So
that's how
just to tell you that when I got to UK, my the first job I got, okay, this is a practical experience. I had to send cold messages. Cold messages is when you just reach out to people that you don't even know. So I had to send cold messages because I was looking for a job. And coming to UK, they'll tell you the only thing you can do in UK is care job. The only thing you can do is wash plates and all that stuff. You can't do an IT job no matter how intelligent you are. This is the reality of what it is on ground. And I wouldn't say unfortunately, but I did not have people around me at the point that believed that there was something different that one can do even as a student coming into this country, right? So I sent cold emails or cold messages to someone on LinkedIn. I was just asking for guidance. And one lady reached out to me and she looked at my CV and she said, oh, your CV is good, but remove is unfortunate, but remove the country Nigeria from your CV. Is unfortunate, like I said, from your CV, because what happened is my CV was experiencing what I'd call location bias. The only experience I've had is from Nigeria. So when companies see my CV, unfortunately, they'll be like, "Are you sure he can do this? Since it's coming from here, maybe it's fraudulent." So it's sad, but that's the truth. So she just told me remove that, and I removed that particular, from my CV, that particular thing from my CV, and within a week I got the job that I got. So please, yes, network, reach out. I love to reach out. I love to learn. Reach out to people. People would always teach you. Your circle is so important. Don't assume you know it all. Do not assume you know it all. Reach out. Be humble enough to say, I don't know. And then, reach out to people that know and can guide you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I have a question before people ask questions. So you removed the country, but you left your experience, then you just took out the
Yes.
country. Wow.
Oh, yes, you would leave your experience. Your experience is the main thing. Yes. But so when you write, so I was a performance analyst, right, at BEDC, and then next thing you're writing is NIG, Nigeria, or something like that. So yeah. So the hack was remove it from the CV and then reapply and see what happens. So, if you're applying for jobs, test a lot of CVs and see what is working. So, like I said, it's quite unfortunate that is the case, that it was experiencing location bias. And another thing some people experience, but this one, I'd say you don't have to change anything about it. Name, if you put a particular name on your CV, people would say, oh, maybe it sounds like a Islamic name, or it sounds like an Igbo name, or it sounds like a Yoruba name. It's a lot, but we're not going into CVs for now.
It's a lot. Thank you so much. I hope people people watch this recording afterwards, and even people that are currently on, they can, get this. These are insights. I mean, you don't hear this. This is really new to me, very new. Okay, so just to wrap up the session with the final question before we get any questions from our listeners, what message would you, be leaving to young Africans who are aspiring to, break careers and build meaningful careers in AI? Now, not just globally, but both locally and globally. Just like final words, people.
Yeah, okay. So I'll say that your lived experience is very important. And your lived experience and the problems that you've experienced during your time in Nigeria or abroad, they're keys to the type of solution you can offer. So being very aware of the things you've gone through, especially because you mentioned careers, right? I just think, in a nutshell, tech is here to make life easier in general. So if you've had a reoccurring issue for yourself, you really have to think about the fact that other people are also experiencing those things, especially you mentioned locally. Logistics in Nigeria is very different from logistics abroad, right? Like we have Amazon and we have all the things that you could do delivery so easily. While in Nigeria, a lot of the times it's like Okada riders and you always have to call them and give them landmarks. Like there's so many unique experiences globally and locally that really paying attention to the problems that you have reoccurringly and thinking about be curious enough to think about what solution you could provide to those problems is really gonna set you apart and give you either spark a passion in you or give you something to build in tech. I don't believe I'm a data scientist into AI, agentic AI, but I believe that where you really use technology is when you're solving problems in your own life and solving problems for people that are also like you. So yeah, just being able to identify your own lived experience and create a group of people and identify a group of people that also have those shared experiences, have similar problems, and thinking about a solution you can provide to that group of people, you're going to be able to really make a career out of tech for yourself to start a business or selling an idea to somebody really. But I think that is very important. That is something I try to do in my own lives, is setting problems that I have, just like the TIFF file and writing a Python converter code, and trying to see how I could solve it. And if anybody else needs that type of package, I can share it with them, put it on Git so people could download.
Yeah.
It's just very important to think about to share the experiences, or share the solutions that you create for the problems that you go through. Yeah.
Thank you. So Kevin, your final thoughts.
All right. So my final thoughts, I'll break it down into different parts. One, the world is shifting into what I'd call solo entrepreneurs, right? With agentic AI on board, you can have one person that can build a business and making millions of dollars as just the only employee. So you have one person, it's no more moving into a particular company, having a lot of people employed, having 500 employees. No, we are moving into a space where one person can build a tech company or can build a company. Let me put it that way. And Africa is the next wealth hub, is the next global market for technology. At least that is what I think, because in Africa, we have so much opportunities. Now, remember, solo entrepreneurs, right? And then Africa, a lot of us here are Africans. All of us are Africans, I believe. There's so much opportunity right now in Africa. So much opportunity. So in tech, they will tell you, do not repeat yourself, but I'll tell you, please repeat yourself. There is nothing stopping us from building Facebook for Africa, or Facebook giant company in Africa. There is nothing stopping us from building Google for Africa. There is nothing stopping us from building Apple for Africa. There is nothing stopping us from thinking big, and the other thing I'll tell you is, if you're in AI and you write prompts, remember also that your prompt is your intellectual property. A prompt is an intellectual property. Please remember that. And if you package it well, there's what they call prompt engineering. If you can package your prompts well, it can really make you good money, because you can be building a lot of things with good prompts. Just have that at the back of your mind. And lastly, I would say, so people will say, sometimes people would advise you and say, don't start because you would fail. I would say, I'll flip it and say, start because you would fail. So here's the thing. It's like a reverse psychology kind of thing. So yes, I know that I'm not going to get it right. I may not get it right. It's not me. It may not be perfect, but that's the reason why I'm going to start, so that I'm going to fail on time and reiterate and do it all over again and then perfect it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Taz, because this has been a very wonderful session. I think I've gotten like a lot of so many nuggets. I'm going to go and research on how to package my prompts. This last part is the bit for me, because I'm using AI a lot. So I mean, it's my critical thinking in the prompt.
Yes.
So let me package it. Maybe there's a market for
They
me.
sell it on it. There's a market. They sell it on Etsy. There's a market for it on Etsy. Yes, people sell prompts. People sell prompts and make good money from it.
You see, this is it. Thank you so much. I think you'll find me your LinkedIn chat box. We'll take this offline. I need to utilize this. At first of all, spoke about automating simple tasks. So that one it might be a little difficult, but let me start with this one. This there's a future here for me. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you, Blessing. It was so nice speaking with you guys. I didn't even know that we've done like an hour, 27 minutes. This was so nice. The nuggets. I like that you have such a very bubbly personality. I also like the fact that you spoke about how it's so important to know the kind of energy you have, and I liked where you made references to the fact that you don't let your experiences, determine how you how you see things, because that's literally what we have. We have a lot of people generalizing some things. Everybody's being too touchy, too sensitive. Sometimes you're moving around with so much, this how, and there's so much negative energy. So it was so nice. I enjoyed your nuggets. So I would go on and on and on, but just to wrap up, thank you so much. This was such a wonderful session. I'm sure the listeners are going to have a lot. I'm sure that anybody who takes their 1 hour, 27 minutes to listen to this recorded video on YouTube would be leaving with so much wow, because it was a lot. So thank you to everyone who joined us. I would like to encourage you to, follow our YouTube channel and watch out for our series. So like I said when we started, this is something that we do once every month. So we get people and then we talk about, we have conversations around AI, tech, and it's so important. I'm such a fan of meaningful conversations. See, Nami, I know that I'll go and make money from prompt engineering. So yeah, please follow us. And if you're interested, I'm passionate about data in Africa. Please join our community. Community is very important, like our speakers have spoken. It's important to, get to know people, reach out to people. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll be happy to see you in our next fireside chat. Thank you so much. Thank you to our speakers. So we've come to the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank
I don't know
you.
if Grace has like a final word for us or something of that sort. Anything from you, Grace? We would call it a day. Grace, I think you're muted.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Blessing. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you so much. You know, like I hope you enjoying us all on YouTube and talking, and we are really impressed by your stories, and thank you so much for sharing with us those beautiful nuggets. Yeah, we can say thank you.
Thank you for having us. It was really,
Thank you,
it was
guys.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have
Bye.
a lovely